Guys, I can't mention y'all, but thanks so much, hey, for being here this morning. You may notice I'm not Carlos. So this is Peter on the microphone. I'm joined by Norm, as always. Good morning, Norm. Oh, so many man guys, I can't mention y'all, but thanks so much, hey, for... How you doing today?
I'm good. Yourself?
I am in a great mood. So,
Good.
let's, guys, let's take a look at the markets. We'll do a review of yesterday. Maybe one thing I wanted to do right up front is, we have got such a fantastic community, and I wanted to just give some recognition because, you know what, we had a meetup in New York on Friday, and it's always fantastic to see people live. We get a unique opportunity to sort of interact one-on-one, and it's just it's awesome. It's a great opportunity. But even more than that, guys, we in the room yesterday, I know that Andrew announced while he was live trading, Thor was taking a little bit of time to spend some time with his family. There's some health issues, and he's just taking care of them. Everybody's okay. They're just dealing with some items, and of course, family first, right? So Thor's there to help. But the outpouring of love and support that you guys gave to Thor has been absolutely fantastic. Thor was blown away, and he was telling us this morning just how much he appreciated all of the support, the emails, the messages that he got to support. So maybe a round of applause for all of you guys out there, just for everything that you've given to us. We appreciate it. Because you know what? That's what makes a community valuable. Not only the things that we do in trading, but to recognize that we're all here as people, right? And we really appreciate that. So I just wanted to thank all of you in the community for all the support you've given to Thor, and by extension to us as a broader community. All right. So with that being said, let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Well, you know what? Yesterday we had one of these giant gap down days. And whenever you start a day with a big gap down, you actually do not know what's going to happen into the markets. And yesterday, I've got up here on the screen the SPY from yesterday, and you can basically see that while we had a big gap down, throughout the course of the day, markets didn't do much, right? They sort of trended sideways. You had to be careful in what you were trading. Let me just zoom in here on the actual day. You could see, there was opportunity, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like we were seeing massive moves, right? Because a lot of that was sort of built into that gap at the open. That being said, there's a couple things I'll look at from yesterday. I traded Guild. Guild came out of the gate with some news that they'd poached an executive. Looking to see what happened. I was thinking that this thing might shoot up, but you can see it sort of came up a little bit, and then it certainly trended down. I actually took a short on it, short of VWAP. I loved this declining pattern that we saw, lower highs. I was able to take a short through this, and then I got out during the consolidation. Probably should have held because there was a bigger short that happened in here, but still, it was a good trade for me and a good opportunity. I know a couple other people in the room took it. Zoom was one that Norm mentioned pre-market yesterday, right? He announced that he was going to take a look at Zoom. He thought there was some opportunity there, and I think, Norm, you actually traded this off the open. You got a couple of bucks, but didn't stay in for the full, what was it, like $12 move? It was pretty impressive right off the open.
I got around $5 out of it. I think I could have gotten 10 or 12, but yeah. I created my plan. I was not upset about that.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was about to say, right? I mean, green is green, and if you trade your plan, never, sort of get upset about the stuff that you miss. You're in the trade, you stuck to your rules, and it was a great trade. And there was a good opportunity in Zoom. If you'd missed that, it again put in a declining pattern. You could have traded if you were willing to take it to the downside, but it was a great trade both ways. Yesterday, what else we were watching? We were watching Peloton. It's a couple of people in the room had mentioned it. It had a great move. I mean, in fact, it moved all the way through the morning, all the way up. So I did not trade this, but it actually put in a good opportunity. Space, well, how could you not go a day these days without mentioning SPCE? I shouldn't call it space. It's actually SPCE, Virgin Galactic. You know what? You look at the chart. I'm looking at the 1 and the 5 minute chart. It looks like a nice smooth move. It was anything but, right? It's a usual choppy activity. I find it hard to trade. There's no question, especially look at the afternoon, guys. I mean, I was, just hesitant to trade it, but we had a great move from 31 up to $35 before the close. You gotta have good risk controls and know exactly what you're looking to accomplish to get into a trade on SPCE these days. Microsoft was one that I actually traded as well. I took both a long and a short on that. And I know some of our members did as well. Daytrader also traded Microsoft, and you guys can see his recap that he kindly provided to us in our channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see Daytrader's review. And thank you, Daytrader, for submitting that to us. And last I'll mention is MNK. MNK, look at this, guys. Yesterday, flat, and then Benzinga. So we've got a Benzinga news feed that we provide to all our members in the room, and a Squawk feature which has live alerts. And Squawk actually mentioned that there was a rumor that they were investigating bankruptcy, right? So no, it's not like they're going bankrupt, just a rumor that they were investigating bankruptcy. And look what happened. The stock price plummeted. It actually got halted a couple of times on the way down. I took a look at it at 350. I'll admit that I hesitated, but there would have been an opportunity to have traded. I would have had to live through a halt, but could have gotten a short. But there are these opportunities that come out because of that the Benzinga news and the Squawk feature that we have in the room. So, and we'll see that I think MNK is right at the top of our list today. So it's reclaiming some of these, and we'll talk about that in a second. So with that, maybe Norm, you can give us an idea. What are the markets doing this morning?
Well, we are seeing a gap up just shy of 0.5% right now. It looks like we might try to bounce a little bit higher than this at the moment. It's not uncommon. We've had like a 3-day slide, and all together, it's between a 5 and 6% pullback from our recent highs, which happen to be all-time highs. All on this coronavirus news and the potential impact economically. So that having been said, there's some earnings that came out this morning, pretty decent. Home Depot came out. We'll chat about that maybe in a few minutes, but I'm actually surprised they're not on the gappers because they were up over 2%, and I'm not looking at them now. Maybe their volume isn't there yet, which isn't surprising on that, but nevertheless, so it's very common after a big pullback like this that you're going to get a bounce. Now, whether that's sustained or not, we'll see. It's kind of a joke in financial community whenever there's panic in the market and CNBC throws up an emergency special markets and turmoil that they happen to usually call the bottom with those. They ran that last night. Don't know if this is going to be the case. I want to see, for the health of this market, if this gap up can sustain and hold today. If we get another pullback, a strong one, it would signal that the market's still pretty unhealthy and people are concerned a lot about this virus. I mean, the VIX is sitting at 2314. It's down 7.5% from what it was closed at yesterday. But I mean, it's down 7.5%, but it's still about double what it has been when we've been in pretty calm markets over the normal conditions, I would call, over the last 12 to 18 months. So anyway, that's where we're sitting. Today, as far as economic data, we've got the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Consumer confidence comes out at 10 a.m. for February. That will be interesting to see. I've talked about it in the past. If that disappoints, I would watch positions. If that's anywhere off the mark, that could signal some real concern. So just a heads up on that.
What time does that consumer confidence come out?
It is at 10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Okay, good. Well, that's a good note and good to watch, guys, because if you're in a trade, it's good to know that so that you understand that you start to see a pullback. Let's say if you're long in something, or vice versa. At least you can tie it to some activity. Make sure you keep your eye on the news and know that it may be driven by larger market forces. It's never nice being in a trade when the market starts to go against you. Trust me, I think we've all been there. I know I have. All right, yeah, and to your point, Norm, we'll see if Home Depot comes up. It doesn't quite have the volume yet, only at 86,000 shares, but probably by the time we're done, it will be on the list. Speaking of the list, let's start taking a look at it. So, MNK. As we said, right, it's been largely flat. The daily chart doesn't look great. However, there's been a fair amount of news over the last 2 days. I mentioned yesterday that news came out of potential bankruptcy, right? There was no confirmation, and the company has refused to comment on that. It was just a rumor that they were in talks. However, there's some different news, I think, coming out this morning, Norm.
Yeah, and also I think I didn't dig into it too deep, but I believe their potential bankruptcy was for their generics unit, not the entire company or something of that nature. I didn't get really into it. Maybe you know more about it than I do. But they did release earnings this morning, and they talking about an opioid settlement, and they also beat top and bottom line. So good news coming out of them. And after that massive pullback and several halts yesterday, they are bouncing 44%. So quite a move on that.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm just checking the news because I didn't look in the detail, but I'm just looking at some headlines here. It did say their generics business bankruptcy, so it could only be an element of the company or a subsidiary, but still, it's one of those things that people sell the rumor, and now we're seeing that it looks like overall the company seems to be doing okay with both the settlement and the earnings beat. So
I will note on this. This has close to 70% short float, which is astronomical. Wow. I never trade stocks under $5. The only time I have in the last 3 years was a trade on this several months ago, and it moved 30%. Plus 30, 40, 50% in that trade. So just keep an eye on that. Know it can really pop on you.
Yeah, you can see our trade ideas information, 69.1% short float is, and it's always sort of an estimation. So it's and the fact that 93% are held by institutions means the available float is actually going to be smaller than the 83 million reported. So as Norm says, this thing can move. So definitely, I think it'll stay on the list. We'll set some levels and see what happens with it. All right, moving on. JMEI. I know I've looked at this in the past. I don't know that I have ever traded it, but I'm not liking the look of the pre-market activity. They're
going private, Peter.
Sorry?
They're going private.
Oh, they're going private. Okay. Well, that's... have they set a price at which they're buying back the shares?
I don't have the answer to that. I just know that it's a going private deal.
Okay. Well, then...
And...
I would guess it's around $19.50 because that's the price it seems to be.
It's confirmed at $20.
$20. There you go. So all right. Well, then that's not that exciting, quite frankly, guys. I'm taking it right off the list now. All right. LL. This is the Lumber Liquidators. Again, been on the list usually around earnings time. Again, it's one of those where I put it on my list. I don't know that I've ever traded it. Are we talking earnings again today?
It is on an earnings move. This company's been really pretty battered on some of their financials the last few years. But this morning, they handily beat earnings estimates. I don't know if there's some funky accounting in here or what, but their earnings per share were estimated by the street to be 15 cents. They came in at 56 cents on essentially flat revenue to what the street was predicting. So I don't know how you beat your estimate by 3 times with revenues in line. So either the street had completely messed up their calculations on margins, or there's some kind of weird accounting in here.
That is,
excuse me, possibly.
Yeah, that is a little odd because usually the CFO and the CEO, if they're managing market expectations, they tend to make sure that they're pretty much in line because these surprises are actually a double-edged sword for companies. It may look good in the short term that they pop up, but then it makes the market's longer term question their ability to forecast. So anyway, all right. So we've got that opportunity this morning and I'll leave it on the list then because it could move again. I'm not that excited about it. The pre-market doesn't look fantastic, but we'll set some levels. We'll see what happens. All right, moving on. mRNA. mRNA, Moderna. Again, another one of these that I know it comes up occasionally. I know I've traded it once or twice. This, though, is very topical. So maybe I'll let you tell us the news, Norm.
Yeah, so they have shipped a supply of drugs for the coronavirus to the U.S. government for testing in a phase 1 trial, and they feel that this drug in their tests has been has benefited patients in getting over the coronavirus. So with that news, we saw the same kind of pop with Gilead when they shipped some over to China. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah, so anytime you get something these days that's saying we've got an opportunity with the coronavirus that is going to cause a pop. So I'm a little surprised they're actually not up more than this. However, we'll see what happens. So far, the pre-market activity, it's not running up, it's actually running sideways. So that makes me question how much, how long the legs are, if you will, on this. But we'll see. BLDP is the next thing I'm seeing on my list. It was on yesterday, I think, as well, and if not last week. Ballard.
It's been on a ton recently.
Yeah, and it's sort of pseudo news. I took a look at it, never found any patterns that I liked. Pre-market looks absolutely horrible. Norm, unless you tell me there's some wonderful news this morning, I'm probably just going to kill it right away.
Nope.
Okay, then. I'm taking it off, guys. If you're interested in watching it, we'll let you set some levels, but I don't know that it's worth our time, to be honest. So, SPCE, well, we already mentioned it earlier. Every day this thing is on the list because it is just moving all over the place. And regularly, it's got a lot of volume pre-market and not a bad activity. But keep in mind, this has got a habit of, it'll look like it's trending in a direction, then it drops $1.50 on you. So you've got to be really careful on this. If you're already in it for $2, then you're okay. But if you just got in and then it drops $1.50, that can blow your stop and cause some issues. So, Norma, safe to assume this is just normal SPCE activity, or is there something specific?
No, it's just normal activity. However, to note, they do report earnings after the close today.
Oh, okay. I can't. What earnings could they possibly have? I have not heard about any trips to space happening. So I guess it's just a matter of whether their costs are being managed to expectations and their losses are in line. But I guess we'll find that out after the close. GNPX is the next thing on our list. I don't know if this... No, is this a low float? Anyways, I don't like the look of the pre-market. Yeah, to see, it's only 14 million shares. It's a lower float.
It is a low float, and it's they closed a secondary offering. So,
oh, well, that's news that doesn't normally. Usually you can get a little bit of a downtick, but on low floats, it doesn't mean a lot. Again, not one that I'm terribly excited about. I'll leave it here if we have a short list, but if I get too many, it's going to be one of the first to be eliminated. All right. Let's see here. Teva, it's been up and on the list here a while. It's a big, this is a very large company. It comes up on the list. It moves, you trade this for pennies, right? It's one of these that, 10 or 15 cent move can be a good one. And you can see the last even couple of weeks, it's been chopping in a range here. It's up 4.7%, but Norm, is there anything great happening with it? Because another one I'm not excited about.
They announced FDA approval of, I believe it is a asthma inhaler drug.
Okay.
So that's all I got.
Right.
And like you said, I don't spend a lot of time on Teva because unless there's some wild news, it doesn't move nearly enough that I like it. Right. Just not my style.
Yeah, well, I hear you on that one. So let me just put a space in here so I can know.
Migraine drug. Thank you, Steph.
Okay, migraine drug. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Luckin is on the list. It's LK. It seems to be just over the 100,000 mark and 4% move. Not seeing great pre-market activity. This Doesn't look like there's anything super strong driving it. It does. It's another one of these that tends to move around a lot. I'm actually surprised at how well it's been holding its price, being sort of a retailer in China. But they've had such conflicting news all over the place, from their deployment of drones to deliver coffee to people to investing profiles that have been at question. So I don't know. Has anything crazy happened with Luckin?
No, I think it's purely on technical moves. But I will say, I think the reason this has been fairly strong and moved back up despite the virus news is that people in China, Chinese, do not drink coffee anyway. So this isn't that they're going to, I mean, like the average Chinese person drinks like 1 cup of coffee per year. I'm not exaggerating on that. So this isn't a play for today. This company is purely speculative on them being able to grow market share for the future.
Actually, I didn't even know that, but that puts into context
Yeah.
when they said they exceeded Starbucks in their volume. Maybe that's not such a significant mark in China. Maybe that's not a significant mark as I thought it was.
It's a tea drinking society. So
Fair enough, indeed. All right, AMD. We'll take a look at it was on my no trade list, but recently it's been moving fairly well. I've been keeping an eye on it. You can see that it sort of hit an all-time high. It's come down off those highs. I watched it yesterday. Didn't really find a great opportunity to trade it. Just I didn't like the way it was moving today. It's up 3.4%. Nothing significant. Normal assume again. This is just sort of market movement.
yeah, it's just a bounce from its fall the last couple of days.
All right, sounds good. Is it a ditto for Roku?
Roku. Yes, there is. I have seen nothing spectacular for Roku either, other than a couple of weird articles talking about how Roku could be great if Bernie Sanders becomes president. So things that aren't going to happen, I'll take for $1,000.
Okay. You can see, guys, I've been watching Roku for a while. I've got all of these levels set at every one of these highs, and so I've been watching it, but I don't trade it often. I've found it a difficult trade, but not to say there is an opportunity. I'll leave it in this list since it's moving today. Now, IQ is one I haven't seen on here for a while. Another Chinese company. Seems to be moving this morning. Terrible pre-market. My goodness, look at this. Not really going. It looks like to me there's just been a couple of, these aren't even big block trades. I don't know where the volume comes from. It says 2 million shares, but
Peter, there was a block trade that traded for just shy of 2 million shares at 841.
841.
So
That's weird. Because I see 4,000 shares at. Anyways, all right. Well, it's not showing in my chart volume. However, guys, this is one that absolutely. I mean, it's not over. It's only on the list because of that block trade. Essentially, I'm just going to get rid of it right away. All right. Last of the small gainers, Beyond Meat, our favorite fake meat company. In fact, the only fake meat company we know. It hasn't really been on my radar the last few days. I know it's been talked about. Everybody's expecting something to happen, right? Either to break up or break down. Because look at the daily; it's been chopping in a range. But frankly, I've seen nothing of interest in it. Norm. Oops, and look at that; it's not even on the list now. So
yeah, I'm not seeing anything really special there.
All right, you know what? I'm taking it off. All right, let's go down to some
Was it red? Was it red, Peter? I didn't even catch it.
No, it was like 2%, 2.1% green is where it was sitting.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, it must have just popped in probably right before I got to it. So, and then it popped off just as quickly because it is not on the list right now. So, all right, EXAS. So this is another one of these stocks that Exact Science. It's been on and off my list many times. I rarely have traded it. It's not a low float. It's not a high short float. It's down 7% though. Any news happening on EXAS, Norm?
Let me check my notes. They have increased the size of a secondary, I believe, or convertible notes or something of that nature.
Okay, not my favorite type of news, so I'll just
No.
leave it there. APT just popped up. Now, it was on my list yesterday because they're another coronavirus player, right? They're actually a manufacturing company, but they make protective gears, mostly face masks.
Yeah,
And
they
that's
make PPE.
and while they popped up yesterday, they're dropping here again today. Again, I did watch it yesterday. Again, didn't find any good movement on it. Pre-market does not look good. I don't see anything exciting about it here today either.
Nope.
So I'm going to take it off. Let's go back to the NNVC. This is another one, coronavirus play. It's been up and down with news that this is a self-promotion. I remember looking at them before. Their news is always saying, hey, they've got a potential cure, but it doesn't mean they have a buyer for it. I noticed that the stock is dropping. You can see they went up to these highs on that self-promotion, but then nothing came of it, and it's dropped right back down. Again, not one that I'm excited about, nor I assume it's just dropping. It's just giving back some of this gain, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take it off, guys. Again, not very useful. And then last but not least to my list, PANW. Come on. Pre-market not looking great. Now this one, Palo Alto Networks. Now, they usually only pop up when there's earnings. They're down pretty significantly, though, 15%, just over the 100,000 mark, so they probably just popped up on our list. I can hear Norm typing. He's probably trying to figure out what's going on with it.
No, I was replying to somebody's question about a Bernie Sanders transaction tax in the stock market and what that transaction tax would mean to our business. What impact would it have? My response was zero, because he's not going to be president, and Congress would have to pass that bill, which would never happen. So,
well, you heard it here first. Norm's called the election. At least
I've not called the election, but if this policy was passed, day trading would cease to exist. So I think it's in all of our best interest to think along those lines on that specific issue, at least.
Wow.
Let's see here. Yeah, Palo Alto. That's what the one you were asking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they reported last night. They're getting nailed. They missed their revenues. I think their EPS was shy, if I remember correctly, and I know their guidance was weak. So just all around a pretty garbage call.
Okay, well that would explain the drop, guys. I'm still not seeing some good pre-market activity, but maybe it's worth setting some levels on it. We will see. So you can see I've separated my list here. Interesting, there's only the first 4 we looked at that had any good pre-market activity. I've got another list of 7 here that I don't really like, but we kept on the list. So we'll see. We'll start by reviewing the levels in these 4. Let's quickly do 2 things, guys. Why don't you type into either the room and or the YouTube comments here if you've got something else you want me to take a look at. In the meantime, I'll just take a quick run through the NASDAQ active stocks.
Hey, more importantly, we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
Can you take a look at a couple of important ones, which are HDs popped up on the gappers, which is one I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
We got Shake Shack as well, SHAK. I'll skim real quick through the active and gainers. The only one on there that I see as of now, it's a penny stock, but you might look at it as COCP. But I will. I'll skim through these real quick and let you know if I see anything. I think that's the only one.
Sure, I appreciate that. Sounds good. So HD and sorry, what was the other one you mentioned?
HD and Shack.
Oh, Shake Shack. Right, of course. The Shake Shack. All right, so let's take a quick peek. So HD, and pre-market's okay, but it's not moving significantly. It is sitting at the top of the range. I like the daily. I like where it sits here. Now it is gapping. Why don't I have any information on this?
It's gapping up 3% on 100,000 shares, but it's not huge volume, but that's pretty normal for NYSE stock that's almost $250. So.
Right. So, guys, here you can see it's a NYSE stock, which, as Norm says, means it doesn't always trade a lot of volume pre-market. Doesn't mean it can't trade well once the market's open. So, yeah, it's definitely worth keeping an eye at. Earnings play here, Norm?
Yeah, they released earnings this morning.
Okay, good. So we'll have that on the list. And then Shake Shack. Now, I know it was mentioned yesterday. People were watching. I believe they was waiting on earnings. Is that right?
They had pretty abysmal earnings last night, so they're gapping down 13.5% on 69,000 shares.
Okay.
See how this turns out. There's one more here. It's Neo. Neo got there's news of.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that one is up a 33% on 22 million shares today.
Jesus. Yeah, I see that. Look at that. Look at all the volume we've got here in Neo. Now, Neo's one of those where, yeah, you can often get these massive volumes, but it's up towards the high end of this range, so it might be interesting. Is there specific news behind that? Because Neo tends to jump, and sometimes we can't figure out what the news is.
They have funding.
Oh,
They've
sorry.
secured some funding.
You did say that. All right. I should pay more attention. All right, good. The last one that you had mentioned, I'll just take a quick look at it. COCP. This is a penny stock here.
It's a penny stock, but it's been called out in YouTube a couple of times, so I thought I'd mention it. It is a decent sized gap. It's on pretty heavy volume, but like you said, it's a penny stock. I won't be touching it myself.
Is there news driving this? Pharma. So
I don't do research on penny stocks. Yeah,
I refuse to research them. All right, as Norm said, guys, we are running behind here, so sorry I've been taking too much time. Why don't we flip over to the announcements, and I'll let Norm do those.
All right, guys. So right off the bat, while he pulls that up and puts it on the screen. We are doing something we have not ever done before. That is a 2-day free trial. So people on YouTube, specifically that watch the pre-market show, can come check us out for 2 days for free this week. So it is only this week. You can use the promo code PM free. Abiel will put up the link to that, and we had pretty good response yesterday. So yep, there's the link on YouTube for that AB will put up. So we look forward to seeing you guys and seeing what you think about the community. Success webinars tomorrow night's part 2 of the Ed Martin Average Joe Trader Trend Trading Workshop, 8 p.m. Eastern. That will be live streamed on YouTube. However, it will not. Once that's over, it'll be turned to private. It'll be out of the Lifetime classroom, and so essentially we want people to see it, but since it's Ed's training material, we can't put it up and let it just be disseminated. So anyway, take a look at that if you get a chance. BBT or the DAS challenge. DAS challenge starts in March. The setup and boot camp phase is going on right now, and then the challenge itself will run in March. Use the promo code BBT15 for $15 off the registration fee. That website should be on there, but I mistakenly did not add it. Is one, like the number one, besttrader.com, and you can sign up there. If you want to do a week in the chat room, you can do so at a discount. Use the promo code premarket24. Doesn't auto-renew or turn it into any other kind of membership. That Valentine's Day discount for 40% off lifetime single payment still active. Promo code LOVE. That's all I got. I'll cut it off early. Go back to you, bud.
Perfect. Thanks, Norm. All right, guys, we are making up for my slowness in the going through the stock. So let's set some levels, and we will get ourselves ready for the day. Starting with MNK. So we see a gap here. There's absolutely got to be a level right at the top of these candles here. You bet I'm setting one. Let me just check that. That is right at $6.38. I will make sure that my level is set. Oh, my PC is running slow. All right, we will set the levels. So there's one. If it goes up further, I like the top of this consolidation range. You can see back in August, it was hitting this area. So I'm going to put another level up here just above $7.09. And which it actually spiked to in the pre-market, but we'll see if it gets back there. And then the last one that I will set is maybe the bottom of this area. You can see there's been a number of days where it actually tested this. So it had been support until it broke through. So we'll see if that becomes resistance if it gets high enough to get up to 840. Now, if this thing drops, I mean, we are sitting sort of within this consolidation. You can see yesterday's close was at $4. Just going to set one at the bottom of this range, about 450 right there, and then a little bit lower than that. Boy, these peaks here is about $3.90. So there you go. So that's good levels for MNK on both sides of the price action. LL, Lumber Liquidators. Wow, we got some price action here that's been a little all over the place. Look at these spikes here. So that's a warning to me that this thing could spike again today. You can see it did it just a couple of days ago. And I've already got that high marked. I'm going to put a level right here at the top of these candles at 1120-ish. Another one up here at this consolidation range at $2.28. And last but not least, up at the spike of this candle around 1340. So that gives me a fair to the top side. I'm just going to check back. And it's interesting as you move back. See, I set this one based on this high, and you can see it's been that area here at 1228 or 1225 has been an area that it has consolidated around. So we'll see if the price slows or sees resistance there. If it drops from here, you know, frankly, there's just a lot of mess. I'll use yesterday's close as a key marker because I noticed that there's also a low there. So I will just leave that. mRNA we'll move on to. You can see I already got some levels, so that's good. I've obviously looked at this in the past. You can see the price action is at 21.53. I already have a level at 23.50, which was the spike of this candle and more or less where it halted then when it went up again. So I'm going to leave that there. There is a level right on the current price action, which could be important to us at 21.50-ish. Because I can see it went to the high there back in December. And if I look at the price action for today, you can see it's been sort of curling around that rough area. So I like that level. Let me just move back in time. You can see I've got other levels already marked at 28.95 and 29.79 at the peaks of these candles. So to me, that's good. I'll leave that for the upside, and then downside, I already had some marked where it had shown support previously at 17.74 and 18.25. So leaving those in place. SPCE. All right, a couple levels set on SPCE from what I'd done previously. I don't know how relevant they are, frankly. Let me take them all out. I'm definitely going to put one here at the top. This is at 42.49, probably the all-time high if I recall. So let me just make sure this is set properly. That could be important. It could also be important because look at this. We had basically an area where it spiked this high and then opened here and dropped around 38.60. So that could come into play if the stock is moving today. SPC, like we said, guys, very volatile, can go anywhere. Just moving back in time, yeah, it's never been anywhere near this high, of course. I should have known that. If it drops, well, frankly, you got previous daily levels that are already indicating, including one that's right at the bottom of this candle. So we'll see. We should be set for SPCE with the lowest of these levels being at 29.15. HD, as we said, is a gapper today. I can see that we had a previous high right here. I'm going to mark that again because actually we had 2 days that were right at that level at 247.15. And this morning it has just spiked over that with a high of pre-market at 248 even. So it looks like Home Depot is poised to go up. Let me go back in time here. We'll just see if it has ever been higher, or are we sitting at all-time highs? It's looking like we are at all-time highs. So at all-time highs, that tells me we don't have any further levels up top, and we'll see what today brings. It could go, you could expect the whole number at 250 to potentially give some resistance, but we'll see. I mean, if it runs, it could just blast through that number like it's nothing. So we'll see what happens. On the downside, I've already got the previous day low marked at 237. It looks like it's 237.80-ish, and that's probably all the levels I'm going to put on HD. Shake Shack gapping down fairly significantly here, 14%. I will put a level at the top of this candle because that's frankly the top of the gap here at 64.53, because that could be important if we see it sort of pull up for one of those what we like to call a rising devil before it drops again. On the way down, though, definitely was a level of resistance before through the November through January period, right around the current price action, sort of around 62.85. I'm going to put a level there, and then one here at the bottom where it found support around 57.50. That's a pretty big range, but Shake Shack can move, so we'll see what happens within those ranges. If it breaks out, frankly, I will revisit because I can see this level of 57.50. You notice it also had support way back in May of last year. If it drops lower, then I'll look and see what other relevant levels we may have. Last but not least on my short list is NIO. NIO. Guys, this I don't like trading NIO, but we can see it definitely hit a high of 565 right here, so I will put a level up there. If it decides to continue on this news of funding. It's currently, let me just look at the price action pre-market. You know, pre-market, I definitely see, you notice it spiked right here to about 5, what is the actual high here? 520 exactly, and then it spiked to 520 here exactly again. So that may have meaning. We'll see once the market's open. I'll just make sure my level's exactly at 520. And then, of course, we got the pre-market high that's already there at 529. So those are good levels to the upside. The downside, I've got previous days that are giving some downside indicators that are already there in the market. All right. I'm just going to flip through these ones, guys, just to see if anything is now moving nicely that I might want to set levels at. GNPX, still don't like. Teva, yeah, Teva's okay. You can see I had previously set some levels at 1410. I'm going to put one here at the high of this candle at 1376, 1375 maybe in case it goes up. And then I'll leave the level I have exactly at $12 where it found some support. So that's all I'll do for Teva. LK, yeah, not really moving great pre-market. AMD, you know, it can be a mover, but I'm not going to set new levels on it. I don't see any reason for it particularly to be in play. Same thing with Roku. You can see I've got a ton of levels on this, but again, nothing indicative that it's particularly in play today. EXAS, still don't like the look of. PanW is trading on news. Very flat pre-market. It is a NYSE stock, so it may move. I mean, it is down fairly significantly here, so just because of that, I'll set a level. I noticed the current price is here where it found support before, right at 202.40. And then I'll set another one right about here at 196.90 because you can see it sort of found support there, and then I'll set one at the bottom of this candle, and I'm willing to bet right around there at 192.40. Probably found support. See, it was actually resistance back here in November, December of 2018, where it found support in August of last year. So I've got some levels set on PANW if it becomes interesting. And last but not least, guys, COCP. It's again low float. Is it a low float? Anyways, low dollar stock.
It's low float.
It is low float as well. All right,
Yep.
So that doesn't make it exciting, but if you guys are looking at it, be careful. Right at $2, right? It found some support there. It found some resistance up here at $2.94, where it's peaked at this candle, $2.95 in fact. I don't know. Sometimes I find that these levels, because these things run and they run on a momentum, which means the levels are not as meaningful on a stock like COCP. So, if you are watching it though, it can't hurt to set levels because you never know, right? If you see it starting to reverse at one of these things, you can say, all right, maybe one of these have meaning, like at 385 that I just marked. And then if it really goes crazy up at 5.25, you can see it spiked right there, 528 specifically. All right, so that's it, guys. Hopefully that gives you what you need to get set for the day. If not, then don't be afraid. Set your own levels. Take a look, but both the pre-market and then the daily activity. Set levels where you think they're relevant, and have some safe trading. Thank you, everybody on YouTube, for joining us. And remember, we've got free opportunity to join us for 2 days with the code PMFREE. Really, we'd love to see you in the room, love you to give us a try. Again, we know that not every room's for everyone, but we really are looking for traders who are like-minded and would want to be part of our community. So hopefully we will see you soon. Thank you to everybody who's a permanent member and has joined us in the BBT trade room. Thank you, Norm, for always being here in the mornings. And we wish the best to Carlos, and we'll see him back tomorrow. I see Andrew's getting ready to come on board, so we'll hand it over to you, Andrew. And good morning.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.
Good morning, Andrew. Are you out there? Can you hear me? I see Andrew. All right, we're going to let Andrew get set up, and we'll get going for the day. Thanks, guys.